Hello, my name is Tobenna Nnamani, and you're welcome to the Law, Finance and Economic Policy Talk Show, where we dissect laws, guidelines, policies, and issues that affect Nigeria's economy. We've decided to carve out a segment where we dissect the lives and careers of lawyers that are contributing their quota to the industries that make up Africa's economy. Join me today as we welcome our guests. You're welcome to this episode of the Law, Finance and Economic Policy Talk Show. Today we have with us Tobenna Nnamani. He's a partner at the leading law firm of PUNUKA Attorneys and Solicitors. It's really good to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for honoring our humble invitation. So we're just going to, ask you a few questions about yourself and your career. So I'll just dive right into it. So why law? Like, what forged your decision to study law? Was it a childhood passion? Was it parents? Just to tell us.
I do have a legal background.
Okay.
My dad was a judge, and
Wow.
yeah, and then my uncle, my dad's brother, served as the Attorney General of the Federation, and then was a judge also of the Supreme Court. But interestingly, my dad wanted me to be an engineer. That's
Okay,
the
that's
yes. So again, when you have a couple of children, you share. You are a lot. So he was like, okay, you know what? You're going to be the engineer. This will be the lawyer and all that. So that was the plan, right, on script. And then I entered secondary school. I got into boarding house, King's College, and then it was very challenging as a boarder. So I just said to myself, I can't cope in this science class, and then I moved to art class, and then the rest is history. I just settled for law.
I'm going to take you a bit back to the King's College. Because I find that you guys are very proud, So tell us, what is this hype or this thing around King's College? I have uncles that attended King's College until today. They're in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and they maintain that close unit. So tell me, why is that?
So again, it's interesting because I went to King's College because my dad didn't go to King's College. So at the time, he was supposed to go to King's College, and then he was not able to enter. So he was like, and that was like the top school at the time, and he was like, my sons will go to this school. So my brother and I, we just said, okay, you know what, we're going into KC, and then you get into that circle, of people who have been there several years, and then, so there's that bond, of, being an old boy, and just enjoying that network. Yeah,
Do you think that still exists in the recent times?
Interestingly, it does. In fact, I was talking with someone. So once we have like our old boys meetings, games, I go for those games. Sometimes Saturdays, Sundays, and then I meet people. Funny. I was playing some local flights, and I met Casey was like Florida. I'm going inside. Like Casey, boy, and then so funny enough, it has opened doors. Just by saying, oh, Florida, I'm this thing. So I would say the network is still there.
Those of us that didn't go to schools like that, only God will help us. So that was a bit of backchat. And you guys, you can see that we are matching. So, I confirm a little. Okay, so then you went into art class and then, but it could have been anything else. It could have been business, it could have been economics. Why law?
So again, funny because, my options were law and economics. And I got admission to study both, law and economics. I just settled for law. I wouldn't say there was any, because I could have gone for economics because again, I'm finance and all that. So I could have actually gone for that, but I just said, you know what, my dad's already a lawyer, this is already there. And again, I wasn't a fan of maths, so I said, do I still want to do all that in school? So let me just do law.
Okay, so tell us a bit about to be in uni. What uni did you go to, and what was your university experience like?
So I attended University of Ilorin in Kwara State. Amazing, fantastic university. I didn't just attend the university, I also grew up in Ilorin. A part of me grew up.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So I also grew up in Ilorin, Kwara State. So, because again, my dad was working in Ilorin at the time. And then, so from secondary school, sometimes in Lagos, I would just drive in there, go there, so very sweet, calm place, And so I got into the uni, but again, coming from Lagos, you're used to the whole wildlife, this and that. And then you come into Ilorin, everywhere is quiet. Things are quite affordable, 13 naira cab that time, I remember this particular time, so my hostel, I was staying off campus, and like the most expensive one was like 80,000. That was like you're in the big boy hostel. My dad was like, why didn't you send all your children to this school? Like, this was, but in terms of academics, right? I mean, because at the time, again, for those who schooled in Nigeria, we don't go on strike, which was fantastic for us because we're not part of the union, so we're studying a lot. But at the same time, social life was not as fantastic, you could get sanctioned for doing, some extracurricular activities and all that. So, yeah, but in terms of knowledge, so it helped me to be focused. Because I said to myself, Tobe, you don't want to have any issues with the school. Let them not go and just sit down, study, and then move. So, that was uniform.
So in terms of like other clubs and things like that, did you participate in?
To be honest, I did not. So I was coming from Lagos, right? And so I came into school, and then I saw some activities, going on there. So again, I became serious in uni. When I mean serious, I became academically serious also in uni. The kind of friends I met in uni, my first year job was not the best. Like, I said to myself, no, Tobe, it has to stop somewhere, So I would say that because of the extracurricular I had done, I was more focused on how do I just study and live with a good grade, so yeah.
That makes lots of sense.
Yeah.
So fast forward, you finish university, law school. Where did you go to law school?
I went to Kano.
You went to Kano. So how did you find Kano?
Kano was just fantastic. Okay. Kano was, so Kano was in Bagauda, and Bagauda was off town. Okay. So you're almost like when you get into Kano, when you fly into Kano, you have to now drive to travel to Bagauda. Yeah. So again, we had to go into school with cash because there was no access to money as soon as you got into the hostel. Wow. So like a boarding school. Yeah. And then if you need cash, you need to travel back into town. So, and then Kano again, because oh my God, amazing friends that were not keen on coming out with a first class. They'd be like, Kai Tobe, we don't want first class, we just want to just pass out, so it was very easy, Kano was amazing. When weather is hot, weather is hot. When weather is cold, weather is cold. Yeah. But, Bagauda was, again, under fantastic.
So coming from a family where you already had, lawyers and high flyers as well, did you feel like you had a set path that you had to follow right after law school? Or was there that freedom to, pick your path and your destiny?
Yes, there was that path to pick my path. Okay. So as at the time I got called to the bar, I had lost my dad. So my mom wanted me to go and do a master's. Travel out, do a master's, follow that whole path. And she was like, oh, your dad wanted you to do all that. And in fact, wanted me to do a master's and a PhD because they were like, I'm young and, so I was like, master's, PhD, abroad. And don't forget that I was in Ilorin at the time. And so we need people like Mr. Leonard Siokolan, SAN, Mr. Yusuf Ali, who taught me evidence in school at the same time, SAN. And these are outstanding lawyers. And we just knew that they were doing litigation and they were doing well, So I was like, but I mean, travel, do a master's, do a PhD, do I want to do that? And she was like, you know what, if you don't want to do that, then let's get you to go in-house for a company that's going to pay you well because law firms don't pay well. So, and I understood where she was coming from, right? Because when you as a single parent, it's almost like, oh, how do I ensure all my eggs are doing well? How do I ensure I protect them? And she has this child that is saying, no, I want to practice. She was like, this guy. She was like, what are you talking about? So at this particular time, she had really tried for me to get into this, oil company. But I went there, I was like, no, I told her I wanted to work in a private firm. So she don't caught follow-up. She now said, have you asked your son what? When I told her, she was just like, you know what? So I went, into private practice. My served NYSC, it was amazing.
Where did you serve? Was it in Lagos?
Good, yeah, so I served in Lagos. Again, that's also another interesting part of it because when I got posted to the firm, the salary was not fantastic, these startup firms, Bushiri, you do the filing, you support it, all that. So I was like, and then there was this, so anyways, I got into the firm, and then I was just walking out there and understood how, okay, we'll have to file and it's coming up tomorrow, or this judge, you have to do all that. And of course, I served with them. After that, I now moved into where I am now. But that was the experience for me for NYSC. It was raw practice.
Okay, so it was raw practice, litigation,
Majorly litigation for NYSC, yes.
Okay, so you finished NYSC there, and then you moved on.
And I moved to PUNUKA. So, yes.
And you've been there.
And I've been there, yes.
So let's talk a bit about your experience at PUNUKA. So what would you say your early days there were like? So did you continue to do litigation? When did you get introduced more to the corporate world?
So again, once I was done with NYSC, I had to, go back to the drawing board, like, to be how far, to be what's the plan, to be where you're going to, what kind of lawyer do you want to be, who do you want to be, what do you want to be known for? I knew that I didn't want to be known as just a litigation lawyer. It was very clear to me. I knew that any lawyer could file a process. So I said, how would I be different? I'd heard of capital markets. I didn't know anything about capital markets, but I knew there was capital and there was market. So I said, okay, I want to be in that. Yeah, so at the time I was applying to join the firm, and so for me it was more like, what areas do I not know?
Okay.
I didn't have any picture as to what I wanted in terms of the area of law, but I knew the kind of lawyer I wanted to be. I wanted a lawyer that could function based, whether it's in terms of finance and in terms of litigation. That was very clear to me. Yeah, so
you've been at PUNUKA for about 8 years,
Yes.
8 years thereabouts.
Yeah.
I did a bit of stalking on LinkedIn. So I was going to an interesting topic. Yeah. So we're in a very traditional sector, and then when you think about rising in a traditional law firm, from associate to senior associate to partner, is something that you're thinking we're going to spend years and years, at least over a decade. But you made partner in how many years? In about six years. How did that happen for you? It's almost mind-blowing that you make partner in 6 years. So what would you say that contributed towards that? Obviously, it's a lot of work from you, but how would you say that was for you? Was it something you were expecting? Was it something you actually worked towards, or it just sort of happened?
Different factors. I think I would say, obviously, the foundation has to do with the vision of the partners who are already existing. Okay. Because, every firm will go in the direction of what the visionary is saying. So, yes, so, I would just say, obviously, one, very, very visionary. Corporate governance was extremely important to them. Succession planning, extremely important to them. So that was, very huge. I knew I wanted to become a partner in the firm. I knew I was working towards becoming a partner in the firm. I didn't know it would happen that fast. That was I didn't see that coming. It was not even like, okay, this year. No, it was not. It wasn't that. I would say that another huge factor. Let me go back a little bit. When you lose a parent, particularly as a teenager, you start thinking differently. You start planning differently, because it's almost like, who is behind me now? Who is taking that? Who is going to shield me now? Yes. So I relate that to the firm. When we started talking about working from different parts of the world, so my senior partner, managing partner, traveling, working from whether it's UK, Canada, different sectors, it puts a lot of responsibility on us that were in Nigeria. Yes. And my senior partner will come and say, oh, listen, you can do what I can do, and you're like, sir, I cannot do what you can do, like, and it sort of like puts us in front of the battlefield. So we are going for transactions, we are going to court, and we are seeing SANs, we are seeing senior lawyers negotiate, and you're telling us to negotiate with them, and we'll have like several sessions, night sessions, no, say this, no, you can't say this, you say this. And so they're teaching me, and I'm taking notes and a lot of grooming. And then I go there and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, so sometimes I'm like, why can't you just come back and just do this thing? Like, I want to see, I want to follow you, don't. So, and my partner's like, but you can do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the lawyers on the other side will give them feedback.
That you've done.
Like, that guy is actually doing well. And I'm like, and so I would say that they trusted us with a lot. So they said, listen, you can do this. You know, a lot of training, a lot of stinker emails, which is that was even normal. It's not even a big deal. You know, so I would say that was a very huge factor. So the fact that they were able to, so it's just like how people are leaving the country, right?
Yes.
It'll be an opportunity for those to rise higher.
Yes.
So as they had to travel for more strategic moves for the firm, we had to take on more responsibilities that were in the country. And then that put us, you know, and they said, oh, you know what, if you've been able to do ABC, I think you should be on the table.
Okay, that's amazing to hear. I hear a lot of humility in that as well, but we'll come back to that. So you lead the capital markets team, and I might be wrong, but I see that you do a lot in insolvency, private equity. Is there anything else I'm missing?
Mining,
yes, I missed that. So tell us a bit about, you know, the different practice areas that you have an interest in now.
So some of them I wanted to do, some of them they threw at me like catch, like boom, and I'm like, you know, so for example now mining, I was minding my business as usual, you know, doing my work, and then you just get one email, we want you to start a practice group mining, and you're like, mining?
Wow, where do I start from?
You know, I'm like, mining, like what do you mean by mining? Like, you know, like I'm like, and I'll say that's also a very huge factor in terms of growth, because most times I would say I was never qualified for the assignments. I just took on the assignments. I said, okay, where's the script? Let's do research and let's run with this. So mining came, go start up mining. First, like, where do I start from? Like, why me? Did I tell you I have a master's in natural resources? Like, you know, what's all that? But we just started running with it. Picked up a team, you know, okay, you have this, you have that, let's start up a team, let's go and do this. And I'll never forget this, and that's also a very huge factor. When there was an opportunity for mining officers with the IBA, that's the International Bar Association.
Yes, I was going to touch on that.
Yeah, my senior partner sent the mail. As at this time, I was not even a member of the IBA, right? And so he sent the mail and said, he just said FYA, you know. And so the email was, I read the mail below. The mail said, listen, we need officers from around the world for mining. Tell us what you're going to do, apply, give us process and all that. I was like, apply mining. I said, okay, you know what, let me just go. So I clicked the link. I saw there was fee attached to it. Like, I was like, you just did FYA. You did not tell us that we're going to pay $180. Like, well, I was like, oh. I just said, but this one was asking for feedback. Like, how far? I said, you know what? Let me just buy Steve. I was down like, but first of all, this is mining officers around the world, not Africa. I'm young. I'm in Nigeria. Around the world? Like, are you? I said, you know what? I'll just apply. I did that, and this is interesting because when we finally got in and all that, me and a colleague from South Africa, someone said to us that when they received our applications from everybody around the world, they said this is the first time they're receiving an application from an African.
Wow.
For the mining committee.
Wow.
This is not that this is the first time that they are taking. This is the first time that they were receiving an application.
Wow.
From an African, and they said they received 2, and they were young. They said, we must take the 2 of them.
Wow.
And the reason why I didn't want to apply, I said to myself that, one, I'm an African, many people around the world, and I'm young. And those were criteria that played a huge factor. So
that's a huge learning point.
You know, but I found that really interesting. So that's how, you know, mining came into it. Again, I didn't pick insolvency. No, I minded my business, you know. It came on. So again, transactions come. Sometimes some teams are more overwhelmed. They're like, oh, we need help. And then I joined the team, you know, with the help. And I've not left the team with, you know, with the help and all that. So some of them you pick, some they throw at you, and then you're wrong.
I think mining, insolvency, these are very interesting, very, very interesting and unusual practice areas, which brings me to my next question. How is it, you know, you're at that partner level, so there's a lot of, you're a lawyer now, but you're also a business owner. So how do you, what's the thought process that goes into starting a new practice group, grooming it, and actually getting clients in that area? Because many times we hear, oh, this is saturated, this is saturated, this is saturated. So how do you actually, what's the ideology that goes into building a new practice area and eventually getting clients?
Yeah. So you said, okay, I'm now a lawyer and then now part of the business. I would, again, this is just my, what I would say. I would say I didn't start thinking of the business side when I became a partner.
Okay.
So as soon as I joined the system, I understood the system.
We should make this how to become partner early, 101.
No. So as soon as I joined the system, and guess what? It's not about a law firm, whether it's a company, because so you must understand where's the business of this company, And thankfully, another of my partners was able to start up her own practice group, entertainment law, and then she's able to get in funds from that. So anyways, so when they said, okay, start up this practice group, in every practice group, there are always existing players. That's 101.
Yes.
So you're not nobody's waiting for you to say come and take. No, you must meet competition. Yeah. And that's the beauty about it. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this before I come back to your question. I will never forget, there was a conference a colleague was supposed to go for, but she said, oh, she can't go for it because she was leaving the firm at the time to travel. Yeah. And I said, okay, you know what, 2 hours, okay, to me, you know what, you have the passport to go for it. So I attended that conference. It was in, I think, Seattle or so in America. And then I met top partners from different firms around in Nigeria. And I met them there. And I saw them exchanging complimentary cards, moving around.
The game is the game.
I was like, I'm talking about the top guys here. Like, if you see how humble they were, like changing, running, moving. I said, my goodness. So this is how you guys are paying people in Nigeria? Yes. I can do this. Yeah. Then I understood that, oh my goodness. In fact, as at this time, I'd not even done up to a year in the firm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I said to myself, when I saw that, I said, I would never leave a firm because of salary. Because if you can generate salary by doing this, I can do this.
I can do it, yes.
And so by the time you come back, so again, now there's a second factor of being a partner in a firm that's over 70 years. Because there are already existing clients, which you can't touch. Because you can't go and say, oh, let me go and bring this bank, it's ready here. Let me go and bring this one, it's ready here. So you go back to the drawing board. And you say, okay, you guys are ready. And again, you're already enjoying from the benefits, right? But you have to bring in the new pool. Yeah. So understand that the moment you start a new sector, a new firm, a new company, you're meeting existing competition. So you guess what? I don't even focus on the top guys that are leading that sector. No, because I'm not a top guy myself. So that's my starting point is, where are the low-hanging fruits? Where are the guys that these guys will not go and meet?
I'm taking notes.
And then guess what? And then I also build relationship with the guys who are leading the sector.
Okay.
Because sometimes they are conflicted.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Oh some of our biggest breaks come from other law firms.
True.
Oh, we can't handle this. Boom, boom, boom. We take this. Yeah. Oh, Tobe, how far? Tobe, I need your view on this. So, Tobe, let's collaborate on this. So I don't consider them my competition. No. Yeah. So I say, no, sometimes they'll say, oh, Tobe, you know what? We need you to do this one. Then you handle this part, we'll handle this part. Sometimes you play front row, they play behind the scenes. So why am I fighting you?
That's true.
Yeah, so low-hanging fruits and then build relationship with those who are leading the sector.
That's really true. So there's something that you said that is very important, which is you didn't just start thinking about the business side of things when you became partner. Because one thing that I find in my own sector, which is fintech, is that lawyers come in and then they feel like their role is to say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. Yeah. And you find that the business owners know the law more than you and sometimes seem to be able to navigate it better. So for a lawyer to succeed in that industry, you need to also be creative. How do you solve a problem? Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that is I found that while I was in law firm, sometimes your job usually tends to end as where you advise a client. But in terms of how they implement that, sometimes I feel like there's a lack of follow-up in that. So how do you think through that process of a client has asked for advice? Yeah. You've given maybe an opinion, you've given your views, you've walked them through the transaction. But even in terms of understanding their business so that you're able to give them an informed decision and that you also handhold them through that, is that something that you think through? And how do you usually implement that? Because I think that's lacking a lot with lawyers.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to our training. Yeah. right? All these things are not things like we were trained to do from school.
Yes.
Again, I schooled in Nigeria, and yeah. So you're trained to say you can't do this, you can do this, you can't do this, you can do this.
Yeah.
Full stop. If you want to do it, no P. And that's where you stop. So it didn't come from there. So there's the there's the formal education, there's the informal education. We had to learn how do I want to think like them.
Yes.
I want to socialize with them. Again, sometimes, depending on how you start reasoning with them, they start saying, oh, you know what, let's go out and talk. There's a lot of, sometimes some of my friends who are clients, I don't know if I should say this, but they'll be like, okay, Tobe, I know you have to give me a legal opinion, right? What's your own business opinion? So I differentiate. In fact, I tell them, listen, I understand, I'm not your financial advisor, but so there's a finance, decision, there's a financial, and then there's a legal decision, and then I leave it to take the options. I would say that understanding the difference between the two, understanding your own boundary as to even where to cross and where not to cross, understanding the sector and what exactly is the client's interest. The ultimate goal, what's the final end? Okay, this is the final end. You may not achieve this through ABC, but you can do this through EFG. Yeah, so that may help in terms of, how you provide your opinion.
Yes, definitely. I'm going to, go a bit more legal now so that, we keep the questions a bit balanced. Right. So you recently wrote an article on merger controls. Yeah. And I think mergers in Nigeria is something that has taken an interesting development since the enactment of the FCCPA. So what would you say, your experience handling mergers pre and then post, what has been the difference? How effective do you think the commission has been actually in regulating competition, dominance, and things of that sort?
Yeah. I remember, before this was pre-FCCP, and then we had to work with, working with SEC is regulating, we had different categories. And interestingly, I also had to work on the bill for the FCCP, attempt of the bill. Yeah, so, and it's again, I'll give you a for how I even joined the committee and working for the bill. So my senior partner was the chairman for the Investment Securities Bill and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Bill. Yeah. And so we had subcommittees. And so he said, oh, Tobe, go and join the competition bill. And I'm like, but I'm already doing ISB. Like, why are you sending me to the competition bill again? So, but again, I joined and then you start working on that. One of the issues, again, which we're also seeing happening now, at the time, we had like a 5 billion for large, we had different sectors. Now, because the FCCPA just came in, the threshold now became 1 billion. Yeah. And people are saying, 1 billion will be like 1 billion, but it's like, it's not even up to $2 million. So if Frank is telling, why should I notify for a $2 million transaction? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you want to put me through all that for just $2 million? So I would say that's something they should consider reviewing, threshold issue. How much should we start looking at, before we come to notify? But again, this is a personal view, I would say that this is, again, like a personal view. The commission has been fantastic. And in fact, and I'm not saying this because, I'm saying this because...
Not because you work...
Not because I... No, because I work... No, I'm talking about the commission itself, like implementing... Yeah. I have to work with several regulators. Yeah. In terms of regulators that give you feedback, that give you prompt, I'll tell you the truth, and I'm being very sincere. I think this is one of the best I've worked with.
I have a bit of qualms with them. They put me through a bit of things. So I'll say, first of all, I found that, in other jurisdictions, your regulators are a bit more upfront in terms of answering questions and things like that. And one regulator that I found used to do that was SEC, but I know that recently they've doubled down on not answering questions because they find that people take their word as it is without giving them full information. Yeah. So now if you have a question, it has to go through a committee. Yeah. But my issue with FCCPC was that, you'll be working on a transaction and you just want to see clarity. Yeah. But that clarity, they don't want you to see clarity. They want you to go through the full process. And I'm just like, doing business, And also in terms of their regulations regarding unbundling, I think that's something that, worries me, because when you're thinking about regulation from an ex-ante, post-ante perspective, but we'll leave that. I won't go much into that. So now talking about capital markets, the capital markets has taken I think from my perspective, things have really, really developed, I don't know if the word is negatively, in the past couple of years due to, the lack of investments in the Nigerian economy. So leading that practice unit, what are your views in terms of capital market investments and transactions? Yeah. So what are your thoughts around that, leading that market?
So interestingly, there was a real estate investment scheme that's about to also come in, which incidentally, we're in court now, so I don't even want to go into issues regarding that. Investment in Nigeria is for the I'm looking for the word.
It's for the hard-hearted.
and it's becoming more of a concern as we get older. Yes. You see the market now, you're seeing the normal players that have always been in the market. Yes. The appetite for the new ones are like, do we want to get involved? Is it worth it for us? So, and particularly with the growth of PE, it's now like, okay, this is actually like a better option and a safer option, a more reasonable option. So, that's a challenge. That's a serious challenge. I know that the NGX, SEC are also trying to bring in people, trying to attract more investors. In my view, I think some of the factors are beyond what they can do. Yes. For example, the legal system by itself is a challenge. Yes. So, and that is beyond any regulator, yes. Right? And so if I can get a foreign investor and sort of, why do I want to start going up there to start, so it's sort of like a competition between PE and capital markets. Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, it is. That way. And it's interesting because, so for example, sometimes when you see these foreign investors coming, they tell you, we want the law to be regulated by Delaware law or maybe another country's law. We don't want a Nigerian law. And then, your client is like, well, they're bringing in the money. What's my business? Anywhere they want, let's go, And so, again, it gives them more security because you're coming over to their jurisdiction, So I would say that there are now more attractive options to raise finance, which is going to affect the capital market if they don't sort out some of the regulatory issues.
So besides the legal issues that, an investor would face in terms of how can I even enforce things, repatriation and all things, do you think that floating the Naira would have any form of positive influence in that area? So the CBN's new strides in floating the Naira and things like that, do you think that would have any positive effects? Or is it still is much more than that?
Honestly speaking, well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Okay, I just have so many questions. Yeah. I want to talk about this, you're a partner now, so you do a lot of mentoring, I would presume, in terms of your teammates, associates, senior associates. How would you say that law firms are taking a hit in terms of lawyers? So I find that a lot of law firms are lacking, specifically when it comes to that mid-range, 4 years to like 6 years. Yeah. Because, everyone has left the country or everyone has, gone in-house or something like that. So how does that bother you? Or how does that affect you as a business? How have you taken that hit since?
So we've, I don't even know if I'll call it a hit anymore. Okay. When you've hit, it's no longer like a hit, like hit. So when someone tell you, if I'm going to say, I want to see you, it's like, I see Canada. So now it's not, in fact, what is it? I want to see, it's say, no, it's not Canada. I just want to. Yes, so we understand it has come to stay. Yes. Right? We understand that the issues are beyond us as a firm. Yes, definitely. We understand that some of them, that's the best decision they can take in terms of their family, their children. So we've come to appreciate and support it. I was talking with a friend who left the firm, and he was just telling me of how, oh yeah, that, just said it even in passing, like, yeah, so before they now bought the house, I said, before you did, well, wait first, let's rewind. You bought, like, wow, and this is like a year plus, and so you're happy for them, so you understand that, okay, this has come to stay. So now that we know that it has come to stay, the question is, how do we respond to it? In fact, it's even funny because sometimes, as we're planning a response, we just see a new one. Fuel price has come. Now I'm like, how do we also keep up with this? Well, I would say that, so I know that we took quite a lot of coppers this year. Coppers are those who are serving in Nigeria for 1 year. So we said, okay, you know what? Perhaps we can start with these younger ones, see how we want to train them. I would say that we have worked in terms of planning with those who are here. So for example, what I mean by that is we know those who want to leave now. So we know that, okay, you're working on it. So we've called like, okay, top guys, how far? Like, what's the plan? Let's have a conversation. Say, I know, I'm here now, but I'm working on. When my paper comes, I'll let you know. So we know, okay, this one is, and so we don't start saying, oh, it's going on. No, we just want to just know so that the heartbreak will not be too, so, and then we've said, you know what, let's raise the younger ones. So, and even that one is even a challenge.
That's what I was about to get into, because there's the knowledge gap, and I think that puts a much more pressure on those at the top. How do you, do that knowledge gap? Because even in the process of trying to train those ones, they're also maybe trying to leave. And another thing I was going to say, and also seek your advice for lawyers on, is every CV I see now from a lawyer is tech. I'm a tech lawyer. I'm this. I'm that. And I'm like, you're just 1 year. Why are you? This is my own personal view. Because I had the opportunity of having a number of years of broad-based experience, I don't take it for granted. But 1 year, I'm a tech lawyer. There's that people shying away from the traditional industries, litigation, capital markets, finance. So how does that also impact the firm, where you have lawyers that you're trying to train, but maybe they don't want to do litigation. Maybe they just want to focus on the tech clients. How do you work around that?
So it's funny because, in fact, on Friday also we're talking. So some of, again, because we have a, entertainment tech department, and they'll tell you, so one, like they have like the nose ring here, this year, say, I'm in tech, like just how we dress. So it's like, okay, tech people just, okay. So first of all, let me say this, like, we've not figured it out. I'll start with that.
Of course.
It's not, because again, the younger generation will tell you now, like, you know what, we don't want to do this thing you're doing. Oh, we want to go and do this. Oh, we don't think this should be done. Oh, we want to work from home. We don't think, so you have to deal with all that as well. So we are still in the process of trying to figure it out. But one of the things we have tried to now do is to say, you know what, how do we manage the top flyers? So there's sort of like, okay, you know what, okay, this person. I can't manage all of you. How do for me, it's more like, so I'll say this, it's more like building a relationship for you to carry me along. So the way the relationship we're building now is such that I know you can give me a letter anytime. That's how, and the funny part, don't forget that even those that live in the country, sometimes clients will even tell you, I want to take this your guy. So there's also that part, So we are just,
or even not competition between law firms
as well, poaching and all that. So it is not that deep for us to lean on anybody. How we would manage the gap and knowledge, we're still working it out.
Working on that, interesting. But in terms of your advice to new lawyers, in terms of specializing, like you said, you did that NYSC year, you did litigation, then after that you came back, you thought about it. Do you think that there's a time that it's too early to specialize, number one? Number two, do you think that there's that craze of just wanting to specialize in, let's say, tech? Because we've also seen how the tech industry has had like a crumbling and a lot of layoffs and all that. So what's your advice to like new lawyers in terms of navigating that area of, oh, I don't want to go through the traditional saturated environment. I don't think any area is too saturated. But in terms of, oh, I want to be a fintech lawyer and I'm just coming straight out of law school. What's your advice on that?
So I would say that there's no approved templates or script on the route to follow, right? There are several factors around this. Sometimes someone can say, you know what, I just want this area of law. I want this because, one, I want to have time for my family. I want this because I want to do this other business that I'm working on as well. So I'm not sure of the goal that you have, right? But my own recommendation is, regardless of the goal that you have a mentor in that profession. Yeah, so and the mentor will be able to, because again, I believe that you would share the big picture with the mentor.
Yes.
And then, in fact, at the time, I was in court with this colleague. At the time, she was 7. And she wasn't doing well in terms of her work performance and all that. And I saw her writing in court. And she said, like, what's this one writing? Like, I know she's not writing my argument. I know she's not, I was wondering what she was writing. And I just saw her writing, and I was like, well, let me even see. And so I opened it, and I saw that her goods are coming in September. This goods shop, And I was like, oh my goodness, like, look at how strategic she was, planning, and you're wasting your time here doing what, So, so instead of saying, so for me now, I wanted to specialize in it has from legislative drafting. It moved to IP. From IP, so it has been moving. If I had done a master's that time, I would have done something I was not even doing right now, So, but I would recommend to someone to say, one, have a mentor. Share the big picture with a mentor, and then let that mentor guide you since you trust the mentor.
Okay. So on that mentor thing, how do you think finding mentors in the legal industry is? I think for me, I look at, LinkedIn has made it easy. So I look at people who have the sort of career trajectory that I think I want.
Yeah.
And I reach out and I try to maintain those communications. But how do you think finding a mentor is? Because I don't know how to find a mentor. I'm just coming out of law school.
Yeah.
What kind of process do you think a new week should be thinking around that?
So again, I mean, for me now, it's a lot easier. Like you said, one, social media is fantastic. Not just social media, LinkedIn, Instagram as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram as well. Events for me is actually very huge, in terms of finding mentors. Sometimes, and you know what, sometimes it's not like, it doesn't even have to be like a legal event. It can be like a book club, And then, and that's why I spoke about Instagram, because you now see what person's interested in outside law.
Outside law.
Like, okay, what can I meet this person? Okay, person can be at this. I've met people at like book clubs, and I go there, oh wow, this is interesting. I'll go there, and then, and then I, making person contact with the person. And don't forget that once you're meeting someone who is sort of established, right, everybody's a suspect. So don't expect like a big hug, like, oh wow, finally we've met, So you're building a relationship, right? Definitely. Yeah. So for example now, King's College, I've gotten mentors from there who are KCOBs, and then from old school, Sir Florito, Casey, you give me a number, I'll follow up again, send a message, oh, how you doing? Christmas, Easter, so I build up. Then I can say, okay, at the time, depending on, sometimes you may not get a response, which is fair. Yes. And that's why I would not recommend that you focus on one mentor, spread it out. So when this one is not responding first, you know that, okay, I'm still building up with this one, and then after a while, you can connect. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So just one more question regarding, you being a partner and also running a firm. We see how the economy is, not just like in Nigeria or Africa, but the global economy. And I've seen a lot about legal business owners just thinking about how, the next 5-10 years of the legal business is going to be. So how are you thinking about, innovating, adapting to the economy and ensuring that, you remain profitable? Or is it something that hasn't actually affected you as a service business? Is work going on as normal, or you've taken the hit and you're trying to plan towards how to, plan for the future essentially?
Yeah, so I would say that this question is connected to the last question, and that's my reservation with having one practice area or focusing on one niche, because if the stream should dry up, then, what happens? So the service sector is an interesting sector because we're following products, right? Yeah. So we're saying to ourselves, what's happening next? You know, what are the issues? Like, where should we start? Where should we build knowledge in? You know, and who are the next market players? You know, it's when my mom, I told my mom, and she was like, insolvency, like, why do people who are going down pay you? Like, like, where do they have money to pay you from? Like, is that a practice group? You know?
Funny enough, did a lot of insolvency in my last year in law firm.
Exactly. Like, it's funny, right? So, but, and again, these are not, this may not have been profitable practice groups several years ago, you know, but after a while, a new sector is coming up and then boom, you have to come. So right now, we're on the drawing board to say, you know what's happening next? You know, what sector should we, and again, it's important because you start building the knowledge before the need blows up. Yeah, so that is how we position. Yeah, it's, so my senior partner will say, knowledge is our oil. Like the same way we have oil companies, our own is knowledge. So the question is, where should we now start building up? Okay, we are done here. Once the stream is drying up, where are we moving into? So it's,
Great.
yeah, it's a relay race.
So let's go a bit personal.
Yeah.
So what are your hobbies? You know, beyond your love for law, what are your hobbies?
Yeah, so I watch movies. You know, sometimes when my head is like, close this one, close transaction, close, I'm like, let me just go and watch like 5 movies, you know. You know, so when no, because I don't watch series.
Okay.
Like I just watch movies, but I can watch like 7 straight. You know, yeah. So I no because no. So I series is too heavy for me because I don't have to keep following up. I'm like, no, I can't do that. But I do watch movies. I do play tennis. I play on tennis. You know, yeah. Sometimes I go for walks. You know, but that's basically what I would do to relax.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people that know you, or
Yeah.
you have a passion for Nigeria. Yes, you do. For the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And Africa.
And Africa.
And the universe.
Okay. But what usually comes to my mind when I see maybe when you post things regarding Nigeria is, okay, this person has a passion. What drives that passion? Before I go into my next question. You know, most people are, okay, I'm done, pack Nigeria in a box and close it. Yeah. But you have that consistent, you know, passion and hope for Nigeria. What drives that?
So I would connect this to the employees exiting and I'll come back.
Yeah.
So I understand why people are leaving the country.
Yeah.
So I'm not naive. I'm not saying, oh no, the house is not burning. Oh no. Please, by all means, leave. In fact, I was talking with a friend, you know, and I'm very comfortable in Nigeria and all that, and the person was leaving. And the person said to me, Toby, I'm not. He was not going there because he wanted to go there and become one billionaire. Nothing. He says, listen, I want my child to have access to healthcare. He says, power supply, stability, a system that works. Is that too much to ask for?
Yeah.
So I understand that. I spoke about a colleague who just bought a house 1 year plus with a mortgage system that works.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So I'm not part of those saying, stay, do this. No. I perfectly understand that. You know. At the same time, I understand that there is more to being a lawyer. I understand that there is more to having money. I understand that there is more to living a comfortable life.
Yes.
You know, and in fact, there was a time, you know, anytime I'm leaving the office, you know, I see the children come and knock on the door, beg you for funds. Yeah. And I'm like, who do you want to blame now? This is a child. This could have been anybody. Yeah. You know. So I would say that I understand that for me, personally, there is a responsibility to play my own part to help the country, in the country and from outside the country. Yeah. So people have different roles. again, people can support the country from outside. I have amazing friends who are volunteering or who send funds from outside the country, which is fantastic.
Yes.
But I also understand that this is my home, regardless of anywhere I move to and all that. So the question for me, and that's, in fact, like most of the time this year I've been out of the country, and then anytime I'm out, the way I see exposure is, as even when I come into your house now and I come and say, oh my goodness, your house is amazing, your house is beautiful.
Yes.
I can say, hey, Ashley, can I move in? Like, just give me one room now and I would help, I'll clean, I'll do this. You'd be like, but you're here with your husband and your family. I'll be like, Ashley, no, we'll just be down, just be down. You can say, okay, you know what, come and stay. And then I can stay there, I can start growing up my own family from there. It's allowed, right? But the way I see it is, I'm like, Ashley, how did you do this? Ashley, how do you have power supply? Ashley, how can you help me have power supply in my own home?
Middle name, by the way.
So for me, right, the way I understand my assignment is I should also be able to contribute to the system, in the system. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of your contributions long term, do you see a political office in the works? That's something you're like, I'm going to run for someday.
Interestingly,
I think, plead the fifth.
No. So I recall, I think it was last year. So I was in Canada, I was on holiday, I went to Canada, and then I put up a post, Canada. Oh my goodness, I started receiving comments.
Did you leave about people?
I was like, wait, wait. I'm in the private sector. I was like, no, but wait a minute. I have a right to jackpot. Like, you're making it sound like I cannot. Like, I'm like, wait, let's clarify. So for that, I'm in the private sector. I'm purely private sector, private system, sit on boards, work with companies. However, I don't, so again, this is Nigeria, right? And then I understand also that people have concerns with those who take public appointments or go for public positions. For them, it's like, oh, they are all corrupt. Oh, they are all bad people.
I don't believe so.
Oh, they are all, people have that view, right? And again, sometimes it comes with a bit of publicity, like, more exposure, like becoming a PLC company to an extent. So I don't have that view. Yeah. I would say that. I don't believe that assuming people are corrupt. I'm like, so why are you expecting corrupt people to clean up the system?
Exactly.
Like, so what are you talking about? So I would say that I'm not against public appointments or public positions. No, I understand, depending on the terms, okay, am I ready? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Yeah, but I don't believe that, it's so dirty that you can't do it. No, I don't have that view.
So we should be looking out.
No. So the way, again, just like this is Nigeria. Sometimes we don't have 24-hour power supply, right? And then the light goes off. Yes. And it's amazing to me that when the light goes off, particularly in the night, either before the gen comes on, sometimes gen won't even come on. Yes. That's when things like your candle, your torchlight are highly important and relevant to you. Yes. And so if you say, rightly or wrongly, the system is so dirty, so dark, so corrupt, don't you think
you should go,
go in there? Like people who you believe that have integrity or have the light should go in there. So that reason for me, it's a bit like, oh, where are you coming from?
I definitely agree. We have to be the change that we want to see. So I want to, dig in more. We'll just watch. So a bit more about your personal life. What does a typical day in your life look like? A work day and a weekend. What does a typical day look like?
Yeah. So like I said before, again, I like linking up your question because I'm always connected. Before I became a partner in the firm, I was also interested in BD, business development, of going out. By the time I became a partner, more response. So it's not like, what are you doing in the office? Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? You have target to, you have to come and justify why you're traveling around the world and no, where's the money? Where's this one? So at the same time, you have to, I remember when I became a partner, because I wasn't preparing for that. So I was like, you mean I'll start having like final approvals that you can send out? Like, what if something is wrong with the opinion? Like, what if something wrong with the document? So it's sort of divided for me, right? So I use my mornings for BD.
Okay.
Go for meetings. Let's go and meet. How far? Where are you now? Sometimes let's meet for lunch.
Yeah.
I'm moving out for lunch,
Yeah.
and I use my nighttime for work.
Okay, great.
So and because the thing for me now is, which has always been for me though, is I'm not. So my Sunday can be heavy. My Monday can be as light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can
and
imagine.
so the benefit, the advantage of that is, I can afford to say, oh, you know what, I'm resting today because ABC has happened.
Yes.
You know, that has happened. So it's divided into BD and then legal work.
Okay.
Yeah, BD during the day because the clients want you to come in, blah, 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 and then you come
Yes.
back for the work in the night.
Okay. So is there a special someone in your life? can we intrude on your personal space a bit?
No. So when I became a partner, so there was a joke, right? That we're joking that we've been praying, partner. Maybe the angels didn't understand that the partner we're talking about was life partner, Yeah. So So I'm working on that.
Okay.
So again, I would say that if I could rewind time.
Yeah.
What maybe I should have done differently was I should have been able to carry the two of them together.
Okay.
So my perspective, which has changed, was, you know what, let me just sit down,
First,
work,
yes.
But I'm like, that wasn't necessary. Like, you could have as well just had someone and then, done the work. So, yeah. So right now, I think I would say I have the right perspective.
So should they send in applications?
They should say no.
So
Yeah.
what are your views? Because I see a lot of lawyers marrying lawyers.
Yeah.
Is that something you want and you're like, no?
No, it's not. No, it's not. So it's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
So I would say when I was younger, maybe I was like, but now it's not.
So you don't really.
In fact, the reality for me now is the probability is even higher.
That you marry
That I might, because most places I go to, so, but yeah, it's not that deep.
That's very interesting. So in terms of talking a bit more about your dad, is there any hope for seeing yourself in the judiciary?
No.
No.
That's very clear for me. Like,
It's very clear.
This one is not it's not. So it's not. So I remember that time. One of the best times to strike my dad. When I mean strike, maybe you want to go and take something from his room. Is when he's going to his study.
Yeah.
When he's going to go and maybe he's going to write rulings or judgment, like, he has gone. So we'll go in there. If I remember that one time, he doesn't go there with his phone. So, and that time, secondary school, he used to have a lot of airtime. So we'll take his phone, we'll start calling, people in batches and all that. And then sometimes we'll just say, I'm like, are you already finished writing? So I would say it's too streamlined for me. I would rather go into the inner bar than, because, so to just go in there, because again, I'm also involved with some companies, right? So I like the flexibility that it gives me. So to go in there and...
Quite a strict life.
Yeah. So, but to manage, but again, I found that I love writing opinions. I do love opinions, and like I can write a judgment, So, but now I know that I don't plan to go there. At least it's very clear to me for now. I do a lot of arbitration as well.
Yes, I was going to say
so
that,
writing the awards, it's almost so most of my makes up for that, and it gives you cross-border as well. Yeah. So.
Eat your cake and have it. So just a few more questions. So what does success look like to you? What are the factors that you look and be like, oh yes, Tobe, you're successful, someone is successful, and like I've arrived, essentially. Yes.
So success is very personal, to the person.
Yes.
And that's why I was talking about assignments and then like Nigeria.
Yeah.
So, for example, again, I volunteer with Slum to School. And
that's nice.
and it's an amazing organization. And but before I did that, I was thinking of, again, the children on the street, how do I help them? Okay, you give them 1,000 and they're back again tomorrow.
Yes.
Like, what can I really do for them? And for me, like one of the critical factors was education, and I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to help maybe a government school. I'm like, but the government has money. Why should I help a government school? Like, are they giving me account of how they've used the money? Like, no, so helping people that I know that they can't give back to me gives me a lot of satisfaction. In fact, when after I close the transaction, there's this joy that, I've closed this deal.
Yes.
But when you hear children speak from slum to school,
Wow.
people that had no bearing. In fact, I spoke to one. I said to them, how do you get inspired? These are people that, in fact, they say like, we have to close because we have to go and help our parents sell in the market. We have to go and they are finishing secondary school.
Wow.
There's hope for university.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, this is huge.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm very big on family. Family is very important to me. So I would say success for me, is fulfilling that assignment. So it may be helping that school child. So, and the beauty about it for me is I volunteered without a dime. I could have said, you know what, let me wait till I have $10 million. Let me wait till I have $10 million.
Yes.
But guess what? Someone has really started it, right?
Yes, so
Why don't you just join in and
yes,
contribute my
definitely.
time? So yeah, I would, there's this book I read, which, I love so much. It's called Shoe Dogs, written by the founder of Nike. And amazing story. She shares about how he started Nike. Imagine Nike, those times, how he wrote his first $1 million check and he bounced. FBI came for him, this and that, employees. And of course, now it's $1 billion company. They give out $100 million every year, give out.
Wow.
And he gets to the last chapter of the book and he titles it The Night. That's what he calls the last of the night. He had 2 sons. And he began to write about that. He said to himself that his biggest regret was that he didn't spend time with his family. This is his own book that he wrote by himself.
Yes.
He's still living as of today.
Yes.
And he said that, as a matter of fact, his 2 sons don't watch any sports. They dislike sports
So much.
because they feel that it robbed them of their father.
Wow.
This is the founder of Nike. He says he has 2 children, but to him, he knows he had 3. Nike was his third child.
His first.
And his second biggest regret is that he knows that he can't rewind that time.
Wow.
And I'm like, how do you take me round through this chapter?
And
you're telling me this at the end of the book? Are you joking?
Yeah.
So, but again, these are mentors that I've started engaging by extension. One of you can have mentors just read their books.
Yeah.
So Bill Gates has a library as well. You read what he's thinking about.
Yeah.
So for me, I tell myself, Tobe, this guy has the so-called money, right? The billions. This is what he's saying.
Yes.
Don't get to that stage.
Don't get to that point. Yeah, definitely.
That time, and that's why to this a second book, That Will Never Work, written by the co-founder of Netflix. In fact, I'm not yet married, but I'm ready now. I'm going to adopt that principle because he said that his own goal, success to him, was for him to be happily married till he leaves this earth. That was his own success.
Wow.
And to have a family that loves him. That was how he defined his own success.
Interesting.
And he said that, in fact, he didn't want to be on his 6th startup company with his 6th wife. So what he did was he told them that, see, Tuesday 5 p.m. is date night with my wife. Anything you're telling me, I'm going out by 4:30, I'm going downstairs. Yeah. He said it was a joke to them at first, like you're starting a company in America, California, Netflix. Yeah. He said, but when they saw that this guy was serious. He said it's not even reflecting with other employees, like, if a guy is doing this one with a wife, then we have to now be giving excuse. And today he's still happily married with his children. He goes hiking. So
amazing. For
me, I made up my mind I would never be drawn into that rat race. Money, never. Like, oh, your dad's wealthy father is not available. Oh, wealth is the justification for you not being available. Never. That's not. Take it and keep it. That's not for me. Amazing. And with that, and again, I would say this, right, again, to just the young lawyers, this is personal for me. When you go for board meetings, you have an agenda. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have AOB. The way I recommend people to make decisions, whether it's to get a job, whether it's to do anything, put the money factor as your AOB. I would never put money factor as my number 1. Yeah. Never. Whether it's to get another job, no, I'll consider other things like, What gives me joy? What's my assignment? How would I be relevant? How would this play on my family? When I consider other factors that are important to me, and I say, how much is the money? To conclude, let me know if I can make this deal. But I will not say, oh, the money is this one. Say for everything will align. Never. Never do that. If I was doing that, no, I'd have gone to like 10 places by now. Yeah, so.
Well, those are really words of nuggets. So I'll say last question, or second to last question is, so what should we expect from you in the next couple of years?
So, there'll be more of, how do I put it now? How do I put it without not saying it? So I would say that there'll be more partnership to see how we can raise more youths in the country.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because that is also very important to me. When I say I know that this is the future of the country,
Okay.
So there'll be more of that,
Great.
I'm really looking forward to how not just the country but the continent as well.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to how, we teach people how to think in Africa and as Africans.
Okay. We'll be looking out for that.
Yeah.
So just as the outro, describe yourself in 3 words. Don't be a lawyer.
No.
3 words.
3 words. No. 3 words. 3 words. I'll say kind. I'll say gentle. I'll say sensitive.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for having us. That was really interesting. Thank you for staying tuned. See you on the next episode.